Hi, I'm Kenji.
And I'm Vic, and welcome to episode number 16 of the Drone Service Providers Podcast. Newscast. We're not a podcast. We're a newscast. We're a little of both, aren't we?
Yeah, and we've been
Yeah,
pretty lame. We've needed to do this for a while.
we really have. And that's kind of the consequences of us just basically running the thing because we have real businesses to run as well.
Yep.
Um, and we got to shoot together last month. That was kind of fun.
We did.
That
We
was a kick
did.
in the butt. That
Oh
really
yeah.
was. It's
Yeah.
actually the first time we worked together.
Oh, Vic, your flying sucks.
My flag sucks.
But your photographs look amazing.
Yeah, my flying. You know what though? If I actually fly pretty well, I'm not as good as you. I will admit that right away. You have a lot more hours on the sticks than I do. But I was just flying to where I wanted to go. I just
Yeah.
want to get there, take a photo, tee it up right where I want it, take a photo, fly to the next one. Which, if you think about it, okay, word of advice for those of you watching this or just starting out. Don't waste stick time by just flying real quick to the place you need to take a picture of next. Fly over there cinematically because that way you're practicing.
Get there quickly but smoothly.
I probably had my first couple 300 hours in the air just doing stills before I got into video. And I just go boom, click, click, click. And I kind of wasted some stick time. Yeah, it takes a little longer, but so what?
Yeah.
You get better at the sticks. Plus, I was
Yeah.
flying the Mavic 3 and that damn thing. It's hard to get to fly smooth if you're in a hurry.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
I
it
got to
is.
use it the other day and flew it off the top of a building. It works really well.
It works well if you don't try to get there in a big hurry.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't adjust the braking. That's the problem. It's like, can we please adjust the braking? If we can adjust the braking on those things.
Yep.
DJI, fix the Fly app. Better yet, put out DJI Go 5.
Yeah.
I would like that a lot. Hey, we're off subject.
Yeah, we are.
We're off track. It didn't take long.
We got a lot to talk about. There's been a lot going on.
There's been a ton of stuff going on. You've been involved in some of it. I've been involved in some of it, and we've been involved in some of it.
Oh yeah.
Let's start out by talking about RDQ. Everybody's talked about it. We're not going to rehash it. You've even talked about it with our friends at Pilot Institute. You and Scott were on there. Tell us, and we'll link below. But tell us a little bit about how that went.
Well, there was a lot of concern in the industry when RDQ brought the lawsuit against remote ID. What they wanted to do was wholesale just throw out the entire remote ID rule. And there's a couple things that they based it on, saying first that remote ID infringes on a drone operator's expectation of privacy in the Fourth Amendment. That the FAA relied on ex parte communications during rulemaking that were not on record nor available for public comment. Number three, the final rule for remote ID was not a logical outgrowth of the proposed rule. And number four, the FAA did not consult with certain entities during the final rule making as required by Congress. And five, the FAA failed to address material comments. And the court pretty much went through every single one of those, said, you're completely wrong. The most interesting piece was about the remote ID infringing on drone operators' expectation of privacy, and that was the Fourth Amendment sort of violation. The court came back and said, no, there's some comparisons to some of the cellular tracking or cell phone tracking. And they said it's completely different. Broadcast, the way it's made, it's the distance that it goes out is not very far. And they also said inside, you're not required to have remote ID. So when you're in the air, you have no expectation of privacy anyways, because you're up in the air, people can see you. So that was pretty much how they dissected that argument. And for me, that was the most interesting sort of analysis. And I'd recommend folks take a look at it because it's kind of interesting. And also listen to Scott and I and Greg's and Haye's podcast on the Pilot Institute. You can find it on their YouTube page. And as Vic noted, we'll have it linked down below.
We also, Greg also had Brendan on, which was actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
with at the Pixel Drone Show. So we'll link to that as well. We'll link to that
Yeah.
as well. That was
Yeah.
pretty cool having
Brendan didn't pull any punches. It was great.
Brendan, no, he really didn't. And now that he's not involved in the drone industry anymore,
He doesn't
he can
care.
open up a lot more than he could.
He
And, you know, he
cares
still
about
has
the
to be
drone industry. Yeah.
careful, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he care. Oh boy, does he care about the drone industry. You and I have talked to him privately, and he loves the drone industry. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done what he did for the number of years and put up with the BS he put up with.
Mhm.
But now he has to be sort of careful because he doesn't want to give Boston Dynamics a bad name. So he has
Yeah.
to be a little careful still.
Yeah.
Still a little
Robot
careful.
dogs.
Robot dog. Yep. Spot. I played with Spot.
So did
At
I.
UAV. Oh, that's right. We both did. That's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun. So one thing I really don't agree with in the judge's ruling in RDQ was that I don't know if it was a he or a they. I don't know who you know, I know one person put it out, but it was a bunch of them.
Mhm.
They said that we don't have a cause to worry about privacy. Not necessarily privacy in the NAS, but location. Because there is no harm. It's like, well, there's going to be. So, and plus there's already a record of it, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So I didn't agree with that part of it, but you know, what does this mean? We're gonna revisit this when something does happen, somebody gets in trouble or gets hurt, or worse, because
The
somebody was found by remote ID.
the other interesting piece, of course, was in the dicta, which is not really the conclusion of the lawsuit, like, but what's also said in the opinion was it. They really said that the FAA has control over the airspace, which is really
I
nice.
love that part. I love that part, which is going to be awesome for people fighting local rules.
Yeah.
I know I've talked about this before. Jefferson County Open Space here in Denver has a rule that says no flying over. That was actually last week, and we'll link to this as well. There was a local pilot who reached out to them, and they finally agreed to that. Now, whether or not the RDQ ruling had anything or not,
Mhm.
had anything to do with that or not, the guy the drone pilot recorded the county person talking. It's like, yeah, we really can't do that. So I'm not sure why we thought we could. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've been trying for 5 years, 4 years. A number of
Yeah.
us actually have, and they finally said, yeah, we can't stop y'all from flying over. So that's kind of nice. That's
Now,
kind of nice.
one more note about the Fourth Amendment issue is that just based on the concerns, the judges, three panel judges, or actually the panel of three judges, um, said that they won't throw out the rule based on the Fourth Amendment, but there could potentially be a Fourth Amendment claim brought up in specific instances. So it's a case by case rather than it's a basis to throw out the entire rule. So
Yeah, no, it
yeah,
definitely doesn't. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
The entire rule couldn't be thrown out. That would screw things up so
Oh,
bad in this industry.
I know.
Yeah, so bad. Speaking of screwed up bad, um, and this is the last thing we'll talk about with RID probably is you've had some backroom discussions about the possibility of maybe pushing back the manufacturer deadline. So
Yeah,
the FAA knows that it's like, oops, we waited too long. No, not at oops, we waited too long. It took a long time for the ruling.
yeah.
So
There's a couple issues. Last week, the means of compliance was released, and for those folks who don't know what the means of compliance is, it's you have the regulation, right, that details what needs to be sent out, and it's the technical how to test for compliance with the rule. So it's an industry standard that was come up with an industry group called ASTM. I was part of that early on, but it really creates that sort of technical background that's needed to be able to comply with that rule.
yeah, yeah. And you can go and see that, but you have to pay $60 to read
Yeah,
it.
60 bucks.
And
Yeah.
it's really only for manufacturers. But everybody's saying, oh, it's $60. I'm not going to pay that. It's like, you don't need to.
Well,
It's boring, dry wording. You don't really need it.
yeah, and the biggest issue is the compliance date for manufacturers, of course, is next month.
Mhm.
And the means of compliance being accepted uh, last week, a month is just way, way too short. I mean, the big
Right.
manufacturers could potentially, I mean, you got your Skydios, you got your DJIs, they would be able to, but the smaller manufacturers,
That's not
they
fair.
no, it's not fair. It's a big issue. They would have had to really have parts ordered back in March or so to be able to integrate into their system. So there's big issues there. And we're talking with the FAA and saying, hey, look, you could potentially put out of business some of these smaller to medium sized manufacturers.
And they understand that.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
like they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah. And,
and then go ahead.
From my discussions, they understand that, and they're pushing out the compliance date, but the issue is figuring out how they can do that. So they're just going through those machinations right now. I have to put out a couple emails after this our podcast, but I'll give you updates. And one of the things that I'm going to say is, hey, you need to let people know, because if you put in the delay a couple days before the compliance date, it's literally useless.
Yeah. You got to do it like yesterday, last week, last month.
Yeah.
One thing as you're talking popped into my head. Now, DJI put out an update for their Japanese customers that remote ID was easily done with a simple firmware update. And supposedly, if you dig down a little bit further into what they put out, it does meet the ASTM standards. So what does that mean? Nobody at DJI is saying anything, and you and I both asked. It's like, no, we don't know.
Well,
So
I think
we'll find out together.
Well, the expectation is that the older models likely won't be able to be updated that way, because that's a decent amount of engineering time which it's not worth it to them.
No, it really is. They're a business, whether you like them or not. They're a business. And remote ID, I'll just say this: there is a YouTuber out there that's saying remote ID is the end of the hobby. Decorum forbids me from mentioning what I think about that, but I will say he's wrong. He's wrong. So don't worry about it. It's going to be inconvenient, yes. But remember, it's tied to registration. So if you're a recreational flyer under 250 grams, you don't need remote ID to fly outside of FRIA. So remember that. It's going to boost all the nanos and all the minis and all the nanos are going to be flying off. No, that's a bad way to say that, but sell well.
And you think about it, it's the new drones that you buy are going to have it built in. So
exactly. Let's move on. I think we beat RDQ and RID together.
Yeah.
What do we have? We got some fun things coming up next month already. Holy crap.
A couple weeks.
Yeah, it's 3 weeks from now. A lot of us are going to be in Vegas, including you and me, at the commercial UAV Expo at the Caesar Forums. Now, everybody knows I hate Vegas. But it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a really good show. Over 200 vendors.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. Last one we went to actually was pretty good. Or Scott and I went to it. And they had less vendors there too, but over 200 vendors. There's going to be a lot of people on the floor. And floor passes, I can't remember how much those are, but they're not that bad. So if you're in Vegas anyway, or plan on going, read through the schedule, and it looks like it's going to be a lot of enterprise stuff and some counter UAS stuff, and things like that, first responders. Fun stuff like that. So for a Joe drone pilot, probably not a lot of breakout sessions unless you just want to expand your knowledge. Personally, you and I will go to a number of them, even though it's outside of what we do for a living. But it's always good to know. It's always good to know more stuff.
And we'll be there the 6th through the 9th.
6th through the 9th, right? And so I'm driving, you're flying, and I'm going to bust out of there Friday morning and get back Friday night here to Denver and recover Saturday. And then Sunday we have, and you couldn't make it. You were invited, but you couldn't make it. We have the UAS Roundup in Buena Vista, Colorado, which is a first responder type show. And this is its 7th year. So this year's theme is BB loss. So we'll put a link to that below as well. So I'm going to bust up there Sunday, actually picking up Greg at the airport here Sunday morning, because Greg's on the panel. I'm the keynote. I'm the opening keynote. I don't know why I said yes to that. I've never done a keynote in my life. Poor Taylor. He's like, "Can you do it?" So I sent him a draft, and he goes, "This is like an hour long. You only have 15 minutes." Like, oops, sorry. So I'm going to do some pretty serious editing on that. So that'll be a lot of fun. We have drone demo days. We've got Autel's going to be there. So Drone Jesus himself will be there. John's going to be doing some demo stuff on the and it just left me. What's their big bird?
I forget.
The VTOL.
Fixing?
Yeah. Oh, come on. Oh, wow. Sorry, John. Sorry, Atel. Everybody knows what it is, except apparently you and I.
Well,
It's
let's take a
the
look.
yeah, let's take a look. Wow. I need more coffee. And that's just all there is to it. So we'll have a number of BB loss panels and fun stuff like that. And then the demo days, we're gonna have racing out there, which if you want to watch some fun
Uh,
racing, the sky, no. Anyway, you'll figure it out. Well, you'll
Dragonfish.
dragonfish, thank you. Wow, yeah, anyway. So if you want to watch some fun stuff, it's in Buena Vista out at the drone park, because they do have a drone park out there.
Mhm.
We're going to have some racing from Full Send FPV and up there, Full Send FPV here in Denver. They go up and they're going to do some racing. And if you want to watch something funny, try to watch those guys try and tune their drones to fly at like 7,500 feet. They gotta take their gates really wide. It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch. But actually, I think it's 8,000 feet. But so it'll be fun. It'll be
Yep.
fun.
Yep.
I'll be up there for 2 days with Greg, and Greg's on a survey. We have some. Speaking of surveys, I just read the word survey. Greg's not on the survey. He's on a panel. We have some surveys coming up. What do we got coming up?
Well, the first one was we want to see. There's been a lot of chatter on social media asking about what rates to charge and
Mm-hmm.
such, and we decided it might be a good thing to actually put out a survey by sector to figure out what the average rate for folks is, because they're all across the map. People who are new to the industry have no clue, and it's just good get a good gauge of what's being
Right.
charged out there.
And we hear, yeah, that's price fixing. That's price fixing. It's not. Why?
Guess what? Because we are an industry organization and we can do that.
501c6. We can do that
Yeah.
now. If it, and people have made a good argument, like, well, if you start on the Facebook pages, if you start posting your rates, that's price fixing. It's like, maybe, sort of, kind of, but is the FCC? No, not is it the FCC?
FTC.
FTC,
Yeah.
Federal Trade Commission, isn't going to come after a bunch of people that do that. That's stupid. Now, if we all met, on this black website and said, hey, we're going to do this and do that, then yeah, so that would be a little different. That's not what we're
Yeah.
going to do, because we're very open here.
Yep. The only thing is there's a couple pieces to it. We have to ask for slightly older information, so we can't exactly ask what you're charging right now. So
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
yeah.
But
There's
rates
simply
haven't changed that much in this industry.
no.
Not the last couple 3 years, they haven't. Not with the way things are going.
It depends. It depends. I mean, for us, we're charging a lot more. So
I need to fix that. I'm charging the same thing I charged 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
But I'm sort of at the
Jeez.
top of the market in Denver. So
Oh,
I have to be careful. That's, but I live in Denver. So
yeah.
there's that.
Yeah.
I don't live in LA. I don't live in Chicago. I don't live in New York. And there's
Yeah.
a reason I don't there, because I
Yeah.
want to live here. I love
So,
I
but
love seeing my mountains out my bedroom window.
yeah. So the thing is, we'll be breaking it out by vertical,
Mhm.
and also region.
Yeah, region and maybe time in the industry. We'll see. I mean, we could dive down into the minutia and make nobody want to take this survey.
Yeah.
So we'll get that out. We'll compile it. Members will probably get first look at it, and then
Yep.
we'll go public with it.
Yeah. Hey,
Else?
isn't Drone Analyst
I'm
doing another
sorry.
survey?
Yeah, Drone Analyst is. Dave reached out to us. Dave Benowitz from Drone Analyst, and we're trying to catch up with him, because he's in China still. So that's always fun, not only schedule wise but timing wise. And we'll put a link below on that as well. They're doing their 2022 drone industry analyst stuff thing. What's it called?
Let
You
me
can
see.
tell it's been a while since we've done this. We are so freaking rusty, but they do a great job.
Yeah, they're doing a DSP update, data update.
Okay, so if you can, please not only do it but share it. We don't have an end date yet. It just started a couple weeks ago. I imagine within the next couple 3 weeks it'll probably close out. And today's the August 15th. This will go out the 16th.
Mhm.
So I would say by the end of August, please go ahead and not only do it yourself, but share it wherever you can. David, I know, shared in a couple groups. I saw that, and we'll push that out again in our channels.
Yep.
Fun stuff like that.
And
And
then
then go ahead.
there's one more study that's coming out, and
Mhm.
that's going to be super important for all of us in terms of uh, there's going to be an economic impact study from what we hear from an organization that really is going to show how much economic impact we really have as small drone service
Mhm.
providers, and it's going to show the value of what all of us do. And I think we're pretty much the unsung heroes of the drone industry. You have your bigs, your
We, as
big,
in smaller drones, not like DSPA, but the smaller drone service providers.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Like the single person, small
Mhm.
businesses, um, who are actually flying drones for a living every day instead of it could be in the future sometime.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
And that's huge. That's huge.
Mhm.
And they reached out to us. So it was kind of nice that they reached out to us and asked us to do this. Not only at DSPA, but what you and I do in the industry as well. Um, we have that capability to kind of gather the troops, as
Mhm.
they say. I think they're looking for, I may be wrong, but remind me if I am, 10,000 responses to get a really good sample
Yeah, we'll
around
see.
that. I think we can, 200 and something thousand RPICs in this country. We should be able to get 10,000.
Yeah,
We should be able to, definitely,
yeah.
definitely. What else are we doing these days? We talked about that. One of the issues, and we sort of brought it up, is with pilot location. There's going to be a lot of people who now know where we're flying. And we've already had issues with people being shot at, drones being shot down, vehicles being shot. More than one occasion of a large California drone employer, we won't mention who, obviously everybody knows who it is, that trucks have come back from the field with bullet holes in them. So we're going to try and have, well, we're not going to try, we're going to have a podcast with a couple people who have been shot at, been shot down, I should say, and what happened afterwards. We've had the FAA has pushed as much as they can. You've got your law enforcement assistance program, your LEAP agents, trying to work with locals, but we hit a roadblock at the DOJ level, FBI, DOJ, Department of Interior, Office of Inspector General. So we're gonna have a podcast. We're gonna have one of these with a couple of those people who have run into that roadblock and caused some angst among them and among the industry. And then also, as we've mentioned, that was brought up at the last AAAC meeting. So now that the RDQ ruling is out, and that wasn't struck, we're going to reach back out again to a number of drones of AAAC members that were interested in working with us to try and figure out how to get the DOJ to push their how we can push the DOJ really to take this seriously, because someone's going to get hurt. We've
Oh,
said it before. Someone's going to get dead, and it might not be a drone pilot. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it till the cows come home. I don't have any cows. It might not be the drone pilot. Okay, I know a number of drone pilots who either open or conceal carry right now, and will continue to. And if we're talking about compliance with remote ID, that needs to be addressed ASAP, because we need the protection.
agreed.
Agreed.
But you know what? DOJ also works very slowly, so I think there's a couple that are in the pipeline.
Yeah, DOJ works slow unless you're like RICO charges or mass shooting, drug charges, that kind of stuff. And then they're Johnny on the spot,
Yep.
which makes sense. I get it. We're only drone pilots and they're only drones, but we're kind of critical
Yeah.
to the economic engine of this country
Yep.
and getting nothing but more critical.
Yep.
And UTM, let's be honest about it. UTM is going to be an issue.
Mhm.
Because no one will comply. You and I have to comply, and I know a lot of people who will and have to comply, but I know a lot of people who said they will not. Whether they carry through with that, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
What else do we need to talk about today?
I don't know. What is there?
Got that. We talked about the economic impact study. We talked about some upcoming things that are going on. Golly,
It's
I, It's slow right now.
Yeah,
It's
it's
slow
been
right now.
quiet.
Mhm.
The state legislatures aren't in session, so
Right.
there's nothing going on there. The federal side, not much going on. Yep.
Oh, you said federal side, and it reminded me what we're going to talk about next year. This is a precursor, a warning, a tease, whatever you want to call it. 2023 FAA Reauthorization Act. We have to watch, we as in you and I, obviously, but everybody else in the industry, user, uh, manufacturer, supplier, retailer. We all really need to watch that carefully and make sure that if things go into that Reauthorization Act that will be harmful to the industry, such as country of origin ban. We'll discuss that at some point in depth. You and I kind of share the same feeling on that, where it's not necessarily in 99% of the cases, like, flying over 1,000-year-old Indian ruins. So we need to watch out for that. So really kind of pay attention to that, not only from us, but others will also be pushing out the knowledge as it comes up, and whether that's the initial writing of the bill, whether it's the markup at the end, whether it's the what do they call, the conference committee, where the House has one thing and then the Senate
Yep.
has the other thing, and they got to work out all the details. That's where a lot of the monkey business goes on, by the way, in the markup and in the conference committee. So keep an eye on that. That'll happen soon, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, next session starts into November.
Yeah.
It's right after the elections. Again, nothing's going to happen until November.
No,
even if it's in
I think
session.
it goes into session earlier than that, doesn't it?
It does, but they're so worried about the re-election cycle that they really won't probably push this
They
too
won't be
hard.
doing much.
Yeah, January probably it'll start happening, or hopping.
Hopping, yes.
Hopping together, happening. And so that'll happen, and we'll definitely be Johnny on the spot with that information.
Yeah,
We'll try and use some of our inside sources to make sure we get everything we need to get.
Yep. Well, we'll definitely get word out about that. I mean, we'll be the early warning system, and then
Early
gather the
warning
troops.
system.
Yep.
That does not sound like that at all. I'm sorry.
Nope.
Maybe I'll edit that part out. No, I won't. So cool. So I think that brings us to an end. We almost kept it under half hour. Yeah, sort of.
Close.
And we will be much more active, not only here, but in the we'll get our news article out, which you wrote a good article about the remote ID. And we'll have a couple more articles that come out in the works.
Yeah.
And we'll push those out as well.
Yeah.
So like, subscribe, follow.
Yeah, and if there's any
Join
topic
us.
that folks out there want addressed,
yeah, feel free. We've got another issue coming up with a town that may end up like our Ohio friends. We may have a meeting beforehand and go to the city council in Arizona, of all places. So, but it should be a slam dunk on this one, because in the last section, what they wrote about, drones in the city, it says, if any of our rules are preempted by other rules, the process is federal, state, and local as far as who gets priority. So it's like, well, then why did you spend time writing this when you know it's not going to work? Because Arizona has a dynamite state preemption law.
Yeah.
And we get to use the RD key ruling.
Yep. Exactly.
Yep. Cool. Awesome. I think that's it.
That's it.
That's it. So this is Vic.
And I'm Kenji.
You're Kenji. And we'll have fun always, obviously. Fly safe. Fly happy. Fly happy. I should have worn my Fly Happy t-shirt.
Yes.
From Mr. Ken Dono himself.
Yeah.
So be careful, have fun, and we'll see you next time here at the DSPA Newscast. Bye-bye.
See ya.